Hi and welcome back. Horror movies are a dime a dozen, but only a handful can truly be considered the best of all time. These are the films that not only scared us, but also stayed with us long after the credits rolled. In no particular order, here are the best horror movies of all time. Number 10. The Ring. It looks like just another fastidium. A tape filled with nightmarish images ends up being a phone call foretelling the victim's demise in 7 days. Newspaper reporter Rachel Keller is skeptical of the concept until 4 young people devastatingly die 1 week after viewing such a similar recording. Allowing her inquisitiveness to lead her to, Rachel searches the video and watches it. She has just 7 days to unravel the riddle. The Ring has a 7.1 rating in IMDb and a 48% in audience score in Rotten Tomatoes. Number 9. It. 7 survivors of the Derry, Maine disaster are about to face their worst nightmare, an ancient shape-changing evil that emerges from behind the town's sewers every 27 years to attack its inhabitants. Over the course of a summer, the friends must overcome their deep-rooted fears in order to fight the monster known as Pennywise. It has a 7.3 rating in IMDb and an 84% in audience score in Rotten Tomatoes. Number 8. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When Sally discovers that her grandfather's grave may have been vandalized, she and her paraplegic brother Franklin set out with their friends in order to determine whether this is true. After driving to their family home, they notice that a bunch of radicals are residing next door. As the Leatherface, who wears a mask of human skin, begins attacking the group members one at a time, the survivors must do everything in their power to escape. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre has a 7.4 rating in IMDb and a 82% in audience score in Rotten Tomatoes.
Even if one of them survives, what will be left? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. After you stop screaming, you'll start talking.
Number 7. The Conjuring. In 1971, Carolyn and Roger Perron moved from Manhattan to a farm in Rhode Island, where they spend more and more time in a house that is falling apart with every passing month. In conditions of extreme desperation, Carolyn contacts the investigative paranormal duo Ed and Lorraine Warren, who travel to the farm to examine the property. The Warrens have determined that a whole area is experiencing a spiritual problem in which they now cannot go. If they can recognize and eliminate the source of this issue, they will be able to eliminate the satanic oppression that is affecting the Perron family. The Conjuring has a 7.5 rating in IMDb and a 83% in audience score in Rotten Tomatoes. Number 6. Halloween. The night is 1963, the year is Halloween, and the cops are called to 43rd Street, Lambkin, LE, to find that 15-year-old Judith Myers has been murdered by her 6-year-old brother Michael. After 15 years, Myers commits a crime the night before Halloween. No one knows, nor plans to find out, what will happen on October 31, 1978, aside from the psychiatrist for Myers, Dr. Loomis. He knows that Michael is going to be returning to Haddonfield, but by the time the town realizes it, it'll be too late for many people. Halloween has a 7.7 rating in IMDb and an 89% in audience score in Rotten Tomatoes.
Halloween. The night he came home.
Number 5. Jaws. The Amity Island beaches are quite busy over the summer season. When a new sheriff discovers remains from a shark attack victim, his first inclination is to close the beaches to swimmers. This doesn't sit well with Mayor Larry Vaughn and several of the business owners. Brody subsequently backs down to his regret it as that weekend the young boy is murdered by the threat. The mother of the deceased teenager starts off a hunt for the shark, and Amity is soon overwhelmed by hunters and fishermen seeking to cash in on the reward. A local fisherman with much experience hunting sharks, Quint, offers to hunt down the creature in exchange for a high reward. Quint, Brody, and Matt Hooper from the Oceanographic Institute are on the sea seeking the great white shark. As Brody explains during their subsequent encounter, they'll need a bigger boat. Jaws has a 8.1 rating in IMDb and a 90% in audience score in Rotten Tomatoes.
None of man's fantasies of evil can compare with the reality.
Number 4. The Silence of the Lambs. Jodie Foster plays the lead as Clarice Starling, a brilliant student at the FBI's courses. Jack Crawford wants Clarice to interview Dr. Hannibal Lecter, a brilliant psychiatrist who is also a violent criminal, serving life in prison for numerous acts of murder and cannibalism. Crawford believes that Lecter may have insight into a case and that Starling, as a good-looking young woman, may be just the bait to draw him out. The Silence of the Lambs has an 8.6 rating in IMDb and a 95% in audience score in Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, who knows what he'll do.
Thank you, Clarice. Thank you.
Number 3. Alien. The crew of the spaceship Nostromo come into Earth's atmosphere after an emergency call from a distant moon. The crew is tasked to study and space returns to the moon afterwards. After a rough landing, 3 crew members want to leave the ship to investigate the moon. Since the ship's computer comes across a ring of an unknown creature, the crew takes this as a sign that the hive is seeking a chance to attack them. One of the eggs is disturbed, and they realize that they must deal with the consequences. Alien has an 8.5 rating in IMDb and a 94% in audience score in Rotten Tomatoes. Number 2. The Exorcist, 1973. An actress in Washington, D.C., notices sudden changes in behavior and physical appearance in her 12-year-old daughter's behavior. Meanwhile, a local priest at Georgetown University begins to doubt his faith while dealing with his mother's terminal sickness. And, book-ending the story, a frail, elderly priest recognizes the necessity for a showdown with an old demonic enemy. The Exorcist has a 8.1 rating in IMDb and a 87% in audience score in Rotten Tomatoes.
The one hope. The only hope. The Exorcist.
Number 1. The Shining. Haunted by a persistent author's block, the aspiring author and recovering alcoholic Jack Torrance drags his wife Wendy and his talented son Danny up snow-covered Colorado's secluded Overlook Hotel after taking up a job as an off-season caretaker. As the campground is closed for the season, then the manager gives Jack a complete tour of the hotel, and the hotel's aged chef, Mr. Halloran, has a fascinating chat with Danny about a rare psychic ability called the Shining, making sure to warn him about the hotel's off-limits areas, in particular room 237. However, instead of catching up on a non-existent creative streak, bit by bit, Jack loses his sanity, trapped inside an endless nightmare of creepy snowstorms and a dark and claustrophobic prison full of somber events and strange opinions. Now, those unsettling voices inside Jack's head call for self-sacrifice. Are Jack's mind turned on? The Shining has a 8.4 rating in IMDb and a 93% in audience score in Rotten Tomatoes.
Here's Johnny.
Do you like this video? Check others' videos here and subscribe to be notified about our most recent videos. See you next time. Goodbye.